Okay, welcome to the Swing Trading with Cycles channel. This is our update on individual silver miners. It is November 21st. This is Endeavour Silver, ticker symbol EXK. And I have all these on a playlist so you can see the individual names. It'll just be easier, one video per name, relatively quick videos, like 5 to 6 minutes at most. And so let us start with the comparative chart. So this is on the left-hand side, EXK, long-term chart. And then on the right, EXK divided by SIL. So is it outperforming the index or is it not? And you can see this thing topped out the relative chart in 2011, which is actually when the absolute chart topped out as well. So right, when the absolute chart topped out, so too did the index, or should say the comparative chart. And if we think about the major highs, pretty obvious, that 2011 one. And then notice you have this cluster of highs, right? So we've actually made a higher high, right, compared to these, and that was in 2021. Now, obviously, we had massive upper wick here and also massive upper wick here. Note that we're below last year's low. These are important things to note. And this is the absolute chart. Now, big picture on the relative chart, we're green. So for the year 2021, 2022, Endeavour is actually outperforming its, the other miners in SIL, or SIL as a basket, I should say. If we go to like the monthly level, we can kind of see it probably a better trend here, right? I'll get rid of that. So, right. So on the monthly, you can see the ratio chart is basically bull flagging. Whereas the absolute chart, like you could say this is a healthier looking bull flag than the sort of absolute chart. So that's interesting, right? Because it tells you this thing is probably about to break out versus all the other miners. And on the monthly chart, and we'll look at this when we look at all the time frames in detail, we do have a nice swing low in place. Although to be fair, silver is has a swing low in place as well. So this is really a question of, are we outperforming? What we don't like here is that we're red on the month. That's important to know about, right? A lot of other silver names and silver itself are actually green on the month so far. So the fact that this is already red is not good. And the other thing to note is that, wow, even though this is a bull flag, like big picture, like more like immediate term, this month we made a bearish outside monthly candle for the ratio chart. So again, so the way to think about that is it looked like it was about to outperform the other miners, and then it's reversed pretty violently. And so this kind of move, you generally doesn't mean we have to, doesn't mean we will. We'll see some continuation to the downside, and those are potential levels. And again, this is a ratio chart, so it doesn't tell you what the absolute numbers are going to do, but it does tell you that, like, near term, this isn't necessarily where you'd want to be versus the other miners, for instance, if you were inclined to be in silver at all. So let's look at the actual charts for EXK. So let's look at the daily first. So if we think about some kind of daily, some kind of daily cycle count, you can see the major, again, I'm not counting these cycles, I'm not keeping track of these cycles independently. I'm kind of doing this here in real time, which is easy enough. So we have a high on day 31 and it is day 40. So that's interesting. So our daily cycle high was day 31. And then, it looks like we're working on a daily cycle low here somewhere, right? You wouldn't be surprised if it broke this low. Like, that would be perfectly fine. I mean, it could even break that one and still kind of keep its structure. What you will say, though, is that daily cycle high is a bit of a double top-ish kind of thing, right? Like all along here, right? Like we've clearly had trouble in this kind of range. And you can kind of broadly call that the $3.80 range, right? We're down here at 330, so we're obviously way below that at this point. And so that's your daily picture. And for the weekly, so that would be your major low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could have a weekly cycle high on week 6, not necessarily bullish. So would not be my first choice in terms of miners, just based on the relative strength. And to be fair, silver is showing the same kind of pattern as well. But if you're also seeing this thing as underperforming the miners, that's important context. I mean, if we look at the monthly chart, which we looked at in the other, like when we looked at the relative, again, this bear flag has kind of gone a little too far. And just to be more specific, breaking below that low was what was unhealthy, right? That was a higher low, and we broke below it. Now, we have sprung back up pretty violently, and so this at the moment is a false breakdown, right? That's positive, right? So you have to kind of weigh the different, it's like the pluses and minuses almost. And so this is an interesting one. But again, if you look at something like FSM instead, like you can just that's more strength, right? Now, this is a big drop down. I mean, we gave back all of this move, so that's the thing that you have that this has going against it is that it almost gave back the entire like this decline. What percentage decline is that? Almost gave back the entire move, right, from COVID, which is generally not super bullish, 80% decline. But if we're just talking tactically, more upside, stronger near-term uptrend, it's probably Fortuna. So that is the rundown. We'll leave it at that for this update on EXK.